And now, ladies and gentlemen, those Capitol recording stars, Tony Sandler and Ralph Young.
What can we do for an opening number that hasn't been done before? Why even sing an opening number? They usually are such a bore. Folks in the know say you start off a show with a slow song, while others will say that the right thing today is a let's get on with a show song. Way back in France where they sing of romance in a club on the Champs-Élysées, the singer steps out and he starts to shout in this dynamic way.
Pêle-mêle, vous connaissez bien l'émission Pêle-mêle. Cette émission sans prétention, de même qu'il faut des brunes et des blondes. Il faut de tout pour faire un monde Pêle-mêle. Des nouveautés, des attractions Pêle-mêle. Des jeux, des rires et des chansons. Un peu de tout, voici Pêle-mêle pour vous.
Here in the States, a lot of the greats would open their show with a bang. They'd step out on the floor, starting to roar. Here's a song that they sang. The curtain is going up and I'm gonna show myself and I'm gonna live till I die. You're gonna hear from me, I just wasn't meant to be an ordinary guy. Why don't you sit back and just relax while I give you all the facts you wanna know. It's O-G-R-E-A-T to be with Y-O-U. We will admit that an opening number is better than nothing at all. No one is famous for opening numbers, none that we can recall. If our songs are tragic or snappy, there's one thing we want you to know. Forget your troubles and just be happy, and let's get on with the show. So forgive us, Mr. Gershwin, Mr. Porter, Mr. Berlin, if we don't sing your opening song.
Now, you did a live recording with Capitol also of one of your shows. All of the albums were studio recordings,
yes,
except for this one was.
And usually all one takes, by the way. That doesn't happen anymore. And Dave knows what that means. Mm-hmm. And for our listeners, a one take, that means there's no retakes and there's no patching, nowhere. Mm-hmm. It's from beginning to end, sealed and done. That was, at the time, almost a must. Everybody was prepared. Everybody knew what they were doing. And most of the Sandler and Young Capitol recordings are one takes.
Wow.
Because there's a great benefit to having one take, in my opinion, because the heart and soul is in it. It's fresh.
Yeah.
It's all that.
Yeah.
You know, it's understandable, actually.
Well, plus in those days, any kind of editing of music would have been literally cutting a tape.
So we only have one in-person album with live audience on Capitol.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Ralph Young, and this is my European partner, Tony Sandler. He speaks 5 languages fluently, and I speak 1 language lousily.
And they had transformed the studio into a cabaret, actually. Tables,
nice.
Drinks,
very
the whole
nice.
thing,
yeah.
And a very lively audience.
Recht schönen Dank, meine sehr verehrten Damen und Herren. Merci beaucoup, mesdames, mesdemoiselles, messieurs. Thank you very much.
He's not taking any chances.
It was like a small nightclub that they transformed it in, and they had never done that before. But that was Dave Cavanaugh's idea. And boy, that's actually a very good representation.
That is a fun album to listen to.
Chi-chi! Bring, bring, chi-chi! Oh, 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 oh! What the hell ever happened to her?
Au Folies Bergères à Paris, mesdames, mesdemoiselles, messieurs, une grande chanson d'Amérique. Bonjour, Guillaume Bailey. Bonjour.
Brings back a lot of memories.
By the way, folks, that's going to be available in the Tony Sandler Legacy Series Audio Collection Volume 1.
It's in there.
Elle pleure, Bill Bailey, elle pleure toujours, déjà toute la journée. Je sais, j'ai tort, Bill Bailey, je sais, j'ai tort, mais je ferai de mon mieux. C'est formidable, Bailey, c'est formidable, mais je ferai tout pour l'avoir. C'est bien dommage, je serai bien sage. Bill Bailey, dis-moi pourquoi. Bailey, dis-moi pourquoi. Bailey, oh, dis-moi pourquoi. Guillaume, mon cher Guillaume, reviens donc, mon cher Guillaume. Bailey, reviens.
It's a fun album to listen to, and you have the audience reaction and all of that, which is fun. And
Can we talk about something interesting from now on? Martin?
well, I'm just curious more about your recording experience. Did you get the music in advance of the, or how much advance did you get?
We knew what we were. Yes, you know, it was easier for me than for Ralph. Because Ralph, I told that before, didn't read music, so it was a little harder for him. What reminds me when we were at the Casino de Paris, Major Riddle, put his 2 cents in there too, and he gave me the English song to sing and Ralph the French one.
Uh-oh.
I never told you that.
Was that intentional?
The guy didn't know what he was doing, But so I remember Ralph putting the lyrics under his pillow at night, sleep on it, and I helped him quite a bit to get the pronunciation going. But stupid things like that happen.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you'd get the music. What, a couple weeks in advance? Because you were traveling, you were performing all over the country at that point. And coming in.
We chose the songs. Usually, if it's an album of 10 songs, you would get 12 or 13, and then you weed them out to the point where you know exactly what's going to happen. Then the arranger came in, heard us do our version of the song, where I was going, where Ralph was going with it, and then the arranger made notes. A week later, or sometimes days later, he was ready. All that stuff was on the in front of the musicians, and they executed it. Because I believe that I never saw musicianship ever better than at that time. At those in the late 60s.
Oh, those great studio
and early
musicians.
70s,
yes.
The musicianship in California, especially the people that were hired for Capitol, that was, never any better.
Yeah.
Just phenomenal.
Yeah. So you would come in from your schedule, record.
Yeah.
You'd be there, what, a couple days, a week?
Well, it depends also. Val Irving, our manager, was already working with Dave and tried to put it in slots, so he knew he had a contract, for example, for a week here or a week there, or when we went and were headlining at the Flamingo in Vegas. So it usually came after a Vegas stay because we were on the West Coast already. Right. Versus being in New York. I remember that often we made an album right after a stint at the Flamingo. But it was all set up 6 months in advance.
Did Capitol pay your travel expenses to get there for recording sections?
No, Capitol had a very nifty thing going. They paid for everything, except we didn't get residuals until everything was paid off.
So they paid for all the marketing and the distribution and so forth.
We didn't care because the publicity that we got out of our recordings.
Right.
Well, the same with the Johnny Carson show. Johnny Carson paid a guy like us $320, enough to pay for the flight. Because Johnny knew very well that we wanted
To be seen.
The promotion, yeah.
Sure.
That was done. You never made any money, nor with records at the time, nor with appearances.
Appearances, television appearances, right?
Except Ed Sullivan. Ed Sullivan, Red Skelton, Andy Williams. They paid full scale.
Really? Ed Sullivan did too.
Ed Sullivan paid the most.
Really?
Ed Sullivan was very fair. Actually, at that time, there was quite a bit of money. I remember when we did his show.
Well, at this point, you were already performing on the Ed Sullivan Show too.
Yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, live from New York, the Ed Sullivan Show.
Which was a big deal.
That was the biggest deal.
And now, here he is, Ed Sullivan.
Because Ed Sullivan Show
Gave you
was
such
Sunday
exposure.
nights. There were, how many channels were there at the time? I don't even know anymore, but 3. NBC, ABC, CBS, right? Yeah. That was about it.
Yeah, yeah.
And so consequently, when the Ed Sullivan Show was on, I heard some phenomenal numbers throughout America, like 100 million viewers, I mean, or even more.
Right.
Just, so when you were on the Sullivan Show, I mean, and then get paid on top, see? One day we're doing the Sullivan Show and there's a snowstorm. Did you hear that one? A serious snowstorm in New York.
In New York?
There was a serious snowstorm in New York. Like serious, like 4 feet or something. They hadn't seen that.
I think that was like 1971.
Did you look that up?
I did. I actually looked.
Oh, you looked it up.
Slow.
Oh, you're good. You're good, Mara.
I anticipated this very discussion.
So I live in Forest Hills. It's easy for me. I grab the
subway, yeah.
and I'm downtown. Ralph lived in Queens. Now that's a lot further out on the island. And Ralph couldn't get out of his house.
Ooh.
So alarm. Val Irving knew the mayor of New York, who was then Mayor John Lindsay.
Yeah.
Knew him well, actually, and the mayor's office organized a helicopter, picked up Ralph in Queens, and Ralph was there in time. I couldn't have done the show by myself.
The show must go on.
Can you imagine that? Yeah. Yes. And because the show must go on, of course.
So they just landed this helicopter in the middle of Broadway.
I don't know how they did it, but Ralph got there.
Più, ancora di più, ma solo tu ti puoi avvicinare di più. Però, non devi esagerare, più di un bacio alla volta, perché a me non si può dare, non è una novità.
That's amazing.
Nervous as all. You know,
that's a great
because
story, though.
I did the rehearsal alone with the orchestra and everything, knowing that he was coming.
Yeah.
And Ralph walked on stage cold, so.
Brushing the snow off his shoulders.
Ma uno basterà, una alla volta, ma come piaccio a te.
I found a picture of the Ed Sullivan Marquee online.
Who was on there?
It's Lucille Ball.
Lucille.
Yes, who you know. The Bee Gees.
I never knew him very well.
Yeah, they were, of course, big at that time. Sandler and Young.
Oh, we were on there too?
Yes.
Wow.
And give that love and do me just a spoonful of your honey. And this world of mine is sunny. All that I need is you.
George Hamilton.
Yeah, George was
Where
a
the
gentleman.
Boys Are, yeah.
A nice guy, yeah.
And Stiller and Mira.
Stiller and Mira had a serious career, actually. You had several TV things going, didn't they? Yeah, all those people were on there, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Ed Sullivan never gave people much time. He had Topo Gigio, that little a mouse that he had all those things. He had Senor Wences, the guy with the egg. Remember that? Wences would say, he'd show an egg. I said, Cecilia, who is this? And he had an egg in his hands. He said, Cecilia, who is this? And Cecilia said, that's my son. You know, yeah, funny stuff. Senor Wences, he was great.
You know, all of us on the show are so darn sorry, I'm sincerely sorry, that this is the third and thus our last current show with the Beatles, because these youngsters from Liverpool, England, and their conduct over here, not only as fine professional singers, but as a group of fine youngsters, will leave an imprint with everyone over here who's met them. And that goes for all of us on our show.
The Beatles came in around that time that you were...
Those damn Beatles.
The Beatles invasion.
Is there any spray for Beatles?
There was not at that time.
I'm kidding.
There was not at that time.
The Beatles came in and it was an invasion.
And they were, and Ed Sullivan Show is where they started making it, made a huge smash.
What happened there, Marna, is very simple. The pressing plants in America, there were 3 or 4 or 5, I think, that were pressing our records, depending on the location. And that was not only for Sandler and Young, but for everybody and anybody else at the time that was in prominence.
Yeah, not only Capitol Records, but all of the recording.
So the Beatles were in such demand that the pressing plants, the album pressing plants, just pushed us aside and only pressed Beatle stuff.
Wow.
And that was...
And that affected everyone.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Anybody that I knew that was of prominence at the time in record sales was pushed aside because of the Beatles.
Wow.
So do I love the Beatles? Ask me.
I love the Beatles.
When the Beatles sing on every record, you'll always hear them sing, yeah, 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 yeah.
The thing is that you survived the Beatles invasion. And I think it's because...
we kept on going. It had nothing to do with our audience. There was just an added audience, mostly younger, of course. It started quite young, the 14, 15-year-old girls yelling and screaming, like the Sinatra syndrome at the time. When Sinatra showed up, there were 14, 15-year-old girls in droves screaming. That was a little bit the same with the Beatles, I think. But then it caught on because the Beatles did some serious stuff. Michel, ma belle, so, and all the other beautiful songs, actually, that they created.
Well, it was more sophisticated than the rock.
In fact, eventually there's going to be a DVD of me singing Beatles songs.
Oh, good.
That's for the future.
But Sandler and Young did hit a good medium spot there.
We were not only the fringes, New York and LA, but we were also the middle of the country. We hit kind of all over the map.
I got to give you some more compliments. One of the things that's so fun with the set of Capitol Records that we're issuing, the audio collection Volume 1, which is all of the songs recorded with Capitol Records for Sandler and Young. All of the liner notes are included in that set.
Yes.
And those are fascinating. They're totally fascinating to read. And these writers are excited about...
Can you read one right now?
I'm going to just give you a little bit from the very first album that you did.
I forgot that was on there.
Because what you read, in these liner notes, as they progress through each album, is sort of the trajectory of the fame of Sandler and Young. And these guys were excited. I don't think that was just marketing hype. These guys sat and wrote quickly as you were doing the recording, and they were. It just seems like they were genuinely excited.
Give me a sample,
here
will you?
Here it is.
I'm listening.
Okay, Side by Side is the title of their debut album. Side by side they sing. Side by side they have emerged as the international set's newest and most vibrant sensations. Side by side they are as Sandler and Young, Tony Sandler and Ralph Young, singers, performers, and altogether complete showmen. Sandler and Young have recorded an album of the world's most beloved popular standards, performed in anything but standard style.
Well, when I hear stuff like that, how can I be humble?
Oh, you don't have to be humble. You
in all truthfulness, how can I stay humble? I mean, let's face it.
No, it's so fun. Let's see. Here's another one from your album On the Move.
On the Move.
Tony Sandler and Ralph Young are two highly talented, smoothly polished,
Oh my.
extremely professional performers. However, they have retained their basic warmth, their integrity, and their dedicated approach to the performance of each selection that they sing. This is perhaps why they are in such great demand for appearances on major television shows, as well as personal appearances in many of the nation's top showplaces. They've become stars swiftly because they possess certain other qualities which immediately command warm audience attention. And I think that's true. I hear that over and over again, Tony, about Sandler and Young, is that connection you make with the audience, the warm, authentic, genuine connection.
That's also why we hit in the Midwest, I think. But don't touch me anymore. I'm so special.
I understand.
Don't come even
totally
close.
Understand.
It's enough already.
Here's the way they do it in the good old USA.
Won't you come home, Bill Bailey? Won't you come home? She moans the whole night long. I'll do the cooking, honey. I'll pay the rent. Lord knows I've done you wrong. Remember that rainy evening you threw me out with nothing but a fine tooth comb. I know I'm to blame, and it's such a shame. Bill Bailey, Bill Bailey, Bill Bailey, come on home.
So is that a good time to quit here?
I think it is.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pleasure doing business with you guys.
Drop the mic.
To learn more about the Sandler and Young Legacy Collection, head to sandlerandyoung-legacy.com. The Tony Sandler Podcast is a TSLS production, engineered and edited by Digital Engine Media, Minneapolis. Subscribe to the Tony Sandler Podcast through your favorite podcast provider and receive updated episodes right when they're released.